How's it going, everybody? Austin here with Fintastic Freaks. So it's been a hot minute since I've given you a full tour of my fish room. And seeing how the last video went where I did a full fish room tour, it seems like a lot of you like that. So ladies and gentlemen, fish folk alike, here is the latest Fintastic Freaks fish room tour. But as we all know, no one likes long intros, so let's go see the fish. So to start off this video, I will show the newest fish to my fish room here. And this is a flower horn parrot. And this guy lives inside a 40-gallon breeder by himself currently. Might see if we can get him a mate later, but the fish store said that he's a rather aggressive little fellow, so he might end up just staying by himself. I actually just recently did a video in terms of picking up this guy from a nearby fish store, and in terms of how I quickly cycled his tank for him. If you haven't seen that video, I would strongly encourage you to do so, as it's a little different from any of the other videos that I've made here. In case you're interested in checking that video out, I'll go ahead and put a tag up here in the corner. Still looking for a name for this little guy. Had some great suggestions though in the previous video. If you have an idea for a name for this little guy, go ahead and feel free to leave that in the comment section as well. Above the flower horn parrot is one of my two 20-gallon longs. And in here, up front, you see my little school of 5 ember tetras. Down in the corner there, you can see my panda cory, as well as a copper molly, kind of lounging about. There is one more inhabitant in here somewhere. Here's our final guy emerging himself from the plants. This is my black crown-tail beta raider. There's also a couple of ghost shrimp in here, but obviously those guys are pretty transparent and they can easily get lost in this bundle of plants here. So they're in there somewhere, helping with the cory as well as cleanup crew. And with just a 25-gallon sponge filter in here and all the plants, it has turned out to be one of my favorite aquariums. If you want to know why I think live plant aquariums are the way to go, I always say, if you want to know why I think live plant aquariums are the way to go, this is one of the tanks I would show from my fish room as an example. Another one I would show perhaps as an example for a live plant tank, as well as a rock fixture, would be the other 20-gallon long tank I have. So technically this tank here is not inhabited just quite yet. It's doing its final stages of cycling, but in here I am thinking of putting a school of guppies in here. The tank right below that though is another 40-gallon breeder, and in here I have 3 different species of angelfish, 6 blue diamond platinums, 2 blue Philippine angels, and 1 Pinoy angel. I feel like every fish keeper has their weakness in terms of a favorite fish or a fish that they just always catches their eye. To me, angelfish is definitely one of those. There is something to be said about tetra swimming in a school, but a group or a school of angels together too is just an amazing sight. However, once these angels get older, old enough to breed and pair off, that will unfortunately no longer be possible, and you'll lose that luxury as they'll get a little aggressive, especially when breeding comes a factor. Showing up might keep this 40 breeder to get the rest out of there that are either being bullied, or we might even just put the mated pair in there. The next tank we have here is a 7-gallon semi-hex, and you see one of the guys there in the back. That is a powder blue dwarf gourami, and he shares this tank with a panda gara. And there's that little guy right there. And if he's not on the glass, this is where he likes to hang out, right on top of the Anubias leaf. It's like his little hammock. And right above that tank is a 20-gallon tall beta community tank, and there is the beta right there. This is my white crown-tail beta, Frozone.
Where's my super suit?
Frozone shares this tank with glass bloodfin tetras as well as black emperor tetras. On a little side note, I know a lot of people really like neon tetras and cardinal tetras. To me, emperor tetras are definitely one of my favorite, as that blue eye of theirs and some other emperor tetra species have like a blue stripe down their body, and they're also just a really awesome fish. And they can be housed with some bigger fish as they get a little bigger than what neons and cardinals do. That and the glass bloodfin tetras, love how transparent they look. Heading over to the final beta tank is in this 4-gallon column tank. And this was my first beta that I ever got. This is my Platinum Half Moon Beta Phantom. In a past live stream, I was asking for ideas for a vacant 10-gallon tank that I have down here. And lately, actually, I've been thinking maybe we get a Phantom in there and maybe get a school of 4 Tetras with him as well. Then again, Phantom has lived all by himself ever since I've had him for about the 1.5 years now, so maybe we should just keep it that way, as he's probably used to it. Right above Phantom's tank on the stand is a 29-gallon tank, and the lone inhabitant is right here saying hello to us.
Hello!
This right here is Julie, short for Juliet, my African River jewel cichlid. Getting this little girl from a store, there was quite a story behind her, as she was a rather aggressive little girl. As you can see, she's also very active, but thinking maybe I need to find her a partner, maybe find a little Romeo for her, so to say. When these fish are primed for breeding, they can turn a gorgeous red color. Living next door to Juliet, or next tank if you prefer, is my 75-gallon community tank. And to the people that have seen my fish room in person, this is usually their favorite tank. In here, as you see, we have a koi angel, top fin from bottom fin. He's about the size of my hand, and I'm 6'4", if that means anything. Got some various rainbows in here, or more specifically, got 2 Millennium rainbows, 3 Bosemani rainbows. You can see my Australian rainbow right there. And also got a river rainbow. I also got 3 rosaline sharks in here. Also got some clown loaches in here. I have 3 total of them. And this is also where I have some of my more elusive fish. They like to hang out in this log right here. You can kind of see them, but that is part of my black ghost knife that you see, as well as a striped Raphael catfish. They get along pretty well and share that log. And this here is my black ghost knife, Ghosty. And he is about 9.5 inches big right now. He's slowed down on his growth spurt, but he can reach over a foot long before he's done growing. In terms of all my planted tanks, I personally would say that this is probably my favorite one, just because I keep getting strands of young Amazon swords in here, which is always encouraging. Otherwise, as you see, more Rotala indica there by the columns, as well as by the driftwood there. Got Amazon swords. I believe that's a crypt right there. Got a very young Java fern on the wood. That's an Anubias. I want to say Nana, but again, I don't want to for sure say that's what it is and get it wrong. This is a 20-gallon hex column tank, in which I have 5 little pea puffers. Trying to find, there's one of the little guys right there by the jungle val. These little guys remain one of my favorite fish in the entire hobby. They don't get very big, so they don't need a very big tank. They only get about an inch and a half at absolute maximum, and that's pretty rare. And of all the suggestions you could give in terms of a column tank, pea puffers to me would be definitely towards the top of that list, if not on top of the list. They are a small fish, but they pack a big personality, and especially if someone ever is interested in puffer keeping, as I always say, this is a great way to learn the basics and get yourself a solid base in terms of what it takes to keep freshwater puffers. Staying on puffers here for a little bit longer, this is my Fahaka pufferfish, Finley, and he lives inside this 150-gallon Fat Boy aquarium. Sometimes it can be really hard to pick a favorite fish, but Finley has definitely grown on me as fast as he's grown himself. When I bought him, he was about 3/4 of an inch, and now he is easily 5.5, starting to push 6 probably. In fact, he might be very, very close to reaching that even. The crazy thing about 6 inches is he's only 1/3 of the way to what these puffers can grow out to a maximum. They can grow out to a maximum of 18 inches. Hence why the tank dimensions are 4 feet side to side and 2 feet front to back. They will need every last bit of that space. Much to my surprise, he's been pretty gentle on the plants that I put in here for the most part. Got some vals in here as well as some Amazon swords. And unless a shrimp or snail get in the leaves or in the middle of the plant or something, he does not tear them up hardly at all. He usually leaves them alone. Across from Finley's tank is this 46-gallon bow front tank with 2 angelfish in here. The one there by the driftwood is a marble angel. Absolutely love the fins on this guy. And then kind of hiding behind the plants there, trying to see if I can get a better look. There we go. That is a gold pearl scale angel. Hopefully he comes out from behind the plant so you can get a better look at those beautiful pearl scales he has. Ah, here we go. Ask and you shall receive, right? These two are a mated pair, as they've laid eggs a couple times. Used to have a clown loach in here with them, which obviously kept eating the eggs, so he's no longer in this tank. He's been moved to the 75 cents. But that, and I'm also still pretty new to egg laying. But as I said before, multiple times, I think these two would provide some awesome looking offspring, especially if they can get the pearl scales from this guy right here. I think they'd just be an absolutely gorgeous fish. Those of you wondering how you can get your angelfish to lay eggs, they really like Amazon sword leaves. They're wide or long, and it gives them a nice big surface to place their eggs on. They also really like this Anubias plant I have right here. They've laid their eggs on there plenty of times as well. Of all the tanks in my fish room, this one is definitely one of the top 3 in my opinion, as I have just loved how the plants have come to be in here, and I think part of that is because of the natural sand substrate I have in here. Of all the substrates out there, sand is probably the #1 I would recommend. I have it, as you saw earlier, in Finley's tank, as well as the Pea Puffer's tank. And right next to the angelfish pair, we have a 55-gallon African cichlid tank. And other than Julie's tank that I showed you earlier, this is the only other tank I have that is fake planted. Part of that is also because of the higher pH that these cichlids prefer, which is about 8.0 is where I usually keep it. You see some of the inhabitants here. I got some peacock cichlids in here. Also got an electric yellow there. Got a giraffe cichlid in there somewhere, trying to find out where he's hiding. Giraffe cichlid is hiding back there behind the plants, behind the bubble wall provided by the volcano.
Mount Wanahakalugi.
A little fun fact about this 55-gallon tank is this is actually where those angelfish that I just showed you, as well as my black ghost knife, actually used to live. And they used to be with other angels that I have since given away or unfortunately passed. But they all used to live in here, and of course all the other fish now have moved on to bigger and better homes. Now it's for these cichlids to enjoy, which will probably need a bigger tank down the road here, as well as some can grow up to as big as 10 inches. But they're good in this 55 for right now, and will be for a little bit longer. And I absolutely love watching these guys swim around too, because just so much color, and as long as you make sure that their aggression doesn't get too much out of hand, they can be really cool to look at. Just seeing all those different colors swim all around, it's almost like a saltwater tank. And right across the way from the African cichlid tank is my 125-gallon goldfish tank. And in here, as you can see, got various kinds of goldfish. Got 6 comets, 3 different kinds of fantail, got an orange and black telescope eye, got a calico right there. As you can also see, we got some dojo loaches swimming about. They sometimes like to go towards the top. That's usually their way of telling me that they're hungry. Also got an orange and white fantail swimming in here with everyone. And put his color with the 3 colors on the calico, as well as the telescope eye is orange and black. And then the comets, which are mostly orange, although some of them have some white in their tails. It's a tank that, to this very day, just continues to capture my attention. Seeing all these fish swim in such a big tank is something I can just spend time and time again just staring at. I'm thinking this 125, though, might become fake planted #3 soon, as every time I've put plants in there, these goldfish have taken the liberty of trimming them down for me. The only problem is, they don't know when to stop trimming. Of course, plants and vegetables are a part of a goldfish's diet, so it's not really to blame them for their natural behavior, of course. But I might go ahead and still put some plants in there as well for them, just so they can continue to have that in their diet, just not very expensive ones. The final inhabited tank I have is a 36-gallon bow front where I have tiger barbs. In here we have a school of 5 typical tiger barbs, as well as a school of 5 green tiger barbs. Tiger barbs are definitely another common fish, or at least throughout the fish hobbyists, I would say they definitely are. And though they might be simplistic, just seeing them school around in a live planted tank especially, I think is always a winner. Of course, tiger barbs are notorious for other things, such as fin nipping, but just seeing that they're always such an active fish, if you want a fish that's always moving about, always up to something, tiger barbs are definitely a fish I'd recommend in terms of that. Despite their fin nipping tendencies, they're pretty compatible with any other barb, minus a tinfoil barb, of course. The main thing is just don't get anything with long fins, as that'll probably get picked on, or anything that's way smaller than they are, and as long as you obey those rules, 90% of the time, you'll be just fine. So that there is all the tanks that are currently inhabited by fish, or at least plants. But there are some other tanks down here that I have yet to show you here. Other than this 25 high right now, which just has a bunch of snails that usually get fed to Finley. Yeah, not a whole lot going on there. But we are far from done from bringing in some new fin friends down here to the fish room. At the time being, I currently have 5 tanks that are uninhabited by anything whatsoever right now. The first one of those 5 is a 10-gallon tank. This is where the pea puffers that live in a 20 hex now live, or at least where 2 of them used to live. I'm gonna have to go back on one of my live streams, as a lot of you guys that were on that gave some really good suggestions in terms of stocking ideas. If you got stocking ideas for this though, you know what to do. Leave them in the comments below. I also have this 30-gallon hex column tank, and to be honest, I'm kind of debating yet on what I want to do this, even in terms of, do I want to do freshwater, do I want to do saltwater, maybe a couple Ocellaris clownfish would be cool in there, or just do like what I did with the pea puffer tank, get a big piece of wood in the middle, get some Java moss, some Java ferns on there, maybe get some more jungle valves, an Amazon sword or 2, and just put a big old school or 2 of tetras in there. I also have this 50-gallon Pentagon corner tank. I already know what I'm going to stock in this thing. As I said on a live stream, I'm planning on putting a dragon puffer in that. I'm currently having a stand get built for it because that TV table is not going to work. And last but absolutely not least is the biggest tank of them all in my fish room. This is a 185-gallon bow front tank. I plan on making this big beauty my first saltwater tank in the fish room, depending on what I do with the 30-gallon hex though, of course, too. But in here, thinking a porcupine puffer as the centerpiece fish, some sort of trigger, maybe a saltwater angel of some sort, clownfish perhaps, a tang, all sorts of options in here. The edges of the tank are 17.5 inches. The peak of the bow reaches 25. It is 6 feet long, and it's about 31.5 inches tall, minus the canopy. All that's left to get this thing is a protein skimmer and the sump tank filter itself. So that's 4 of the 5 tanks that I have that are currently uninhabited. So where's the 5th one? I'll tell you, but not yet. All I'll say about the other tank right now is it is a 75-gallon tank, but it looks nothing like the one behind me. Fish folk, that is my latest fish room tour. If you like the fish room, let me know by giving this video a thumbs up. If you got a favorite tank, a favorite fish, or if you got a suggestion for any of the tanks that are empty, including the big 185, the Pentagon corner, the 10-gallon, the 30 hex, whatever it may be, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. I feel like I've given like way too many things to put in the comments in this video. If you haven't already, consider clicking the subscribe button to stay in the loop with everything I do, from fish store tours to public aquarium visits, new fish, all sorts of things. And as you can see, this fish room already has various fish, and we ain't done yet. As always, thank you for watching my video, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Stay fantastic, folks.